Today we have the 2020 Mazda 6 Signature, and ever since this was redesigned and even refreshed, there have been several models that have come out or been redesigned in this class. So today we're going to see whether or not this Mazda 6 Signature is one of the best value top trim level cars there is, or if it can even still compete with those in the class. We'll still take a look at all the exterior features, hop inside, and go for a test drive. And I put timestamps in the description below so you can skip around from part to part. Let's get started. Now I want to start things out under the hood because I just got done reviewing the Mazda CX-5 not long ago, and that actually had a slight bump in torque, but this Mazda 6 didn't. The CX-5 can now get 320 pound-feet of torque. This one still gives you the same engine, 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and can give you up to 250 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. If you don't put premium fuel in, it goes down to 227 horsepower, but you can still get 310 pound-feet of torque out of this engine no matter what gas you use, and I'll talk about how this drives in a little bit. It still comes standard with the 6-speed automatic transmission. There's no manual version available on the turbo model. And then miles per gallon is 23 in the city and 31 on the highway. Now as we take a look at the exterior details of this 2020 Mazda 6, this is going to be exclusively about the Signature, the top trim level. So starting out right up front, Mazda gives you a really nice finish on that grille. You have the big Mazda logo, that chrome trim that runs across and under the headlights. It matches that little chrome trim at the bottom. These are full LED headlights. So you have the LED blinker right up on the top. You've got LED daytime running lights, signature lights, high and low beams. And these lights are actually adaptive. I'm a big fan of the way these lights look and how well they perform. The Signature portion is actually that line going to the left and the right of the headlight in that circular ring. They look great at night. These adaptive functions also do a really nice job. We just don't have LED fog lights, but I think you'll find them to do perfectly fine without them. This gray color that we see on the Mazda is actually a premium color, so you do have to pay extra for this, just like that Soul Red crystal color that I've seen on several other Mazdas. It does look really nice. I think it is definitely worth the little price bump, and it shows off the lines of the Mazda very well, even though it hasn't been redesigned in quite a while. Mazda gives you these pretty slick 19-inch wheels. These are like a silver wheel. They're not a shiny chrome. They're not black. I think they look great. They look great with this gray color paint, and they fill out the wheel wells pretty well. Nowadays you're starting to see 20-inch wheels, 21-inch wheels, so I like the 19 at this top end right here. You've got an LED blinker in that mirror. Always looks nice. That mirror is also automatic dimming, which is not always something that you see, and those mirrors are power folding, which I'll show you in a little bit with the smart key system. Got a little bit of gloss black and chrome trim on the windows. And then when we get to the back, this is where things are a little more conservative styling wise. Mazda gives you a little spoiler on that trunk. You've got LED taillights with the Signature lighting in there as well. These are actually combination LED taillights. The taillights look really cool at night as well, just like the headlights do. And then one other thing is that the Signature badge back here is actually new. So that is one of the very minor updated features. And then you've got a dual exhaust pipe down here. There's nothing sexy about a trunk, and that's the case with the Mazda 6 still. There is a touchpad under here to open it up. There's no hands-free lift access like there is on a couple cars, but once you get back here, you get a little less than 15 cubic feet. So it's certainly not the class leader. It's a little below average in that regard, but it is still fairly spacious. I like the way things are laid out with individual cubbies, and the hinges are out of the way. There's also a spare tire standard underneath of here. And if you have to haul long items, it's a 60-40 split fold for the back seat. And one extra nice little touch is that there's an actual grab handle right here, because your trunk is almost always dirty. So if you put your hand up there and grab it, your fingers get dirty. But with this, your fingers don't have to get dirty. Now one thing that is new is this key fob. So if you remember Mazda's older key fob, it was kind of skinny, it had a real plastic cheap feeling to it. This one feels much better. It is still very slim, fits in your pocket very well. You've got your lock, unlock, panic button as well on here, just like you used to, and opening your trunk. Mazda logo, can pull a real physical key out. I really like it. There's just no remote start on the key fob, which would be nice to see. So as you can see, it is locked. Go ahead and push the button to unlock it. The mirror will fold. There's no sensor behind the handle. You just have to push the button every time if you want to lock it or unlock it, but you can have the vehicle automatically lock when you walk away. You can turn that on with the settings on the inside. So if I walk away, it's gonna lock and the mirror folds automatically. When you hop into the front seats of the Mazda 6, you're gonna get genuine Napa leather seats, and they look great. They are perforated. We have heating, ventilation, and memory settings on these seats, and they just look really nice in this parchment color. These seats are 8-way power adjustable with 2-way lumbar support. The seats themselves are quite comfortable. I've been able to spend a good amount of time in the Mazda 6, and I've been comfortable just about the entire time. And the bolstering on these are actually pretty good as well. You even have a little metal trim piece on the back, and the headrest is not intrusive. One thing about this cabin is that it can feel a little bit smaller. It's not necessarily small, but you have a big center console, and it kind of almost cocoons you in here. And at least it is padded next to your knee up here. So I've got no trouble, but if you are a taller individual, you probably want to check it out first. The steering wheel is leather wrapped, and it's also heated, and we can move it in and out, up and down, pretty good range of motion. And then when you look at the rest of the interior on the Signature trim, aside from the authentic Napa leather, you're going to get ultra suede material running throughout and Japanese sen wood trim pieces that run across the entire dash and the doors. And overall, it's a modern, simplistic, minimalist type of interior. Let's go ahead and start it up. Foot on the brake, push button right there. Now over on the door, you've got all nice materials. This upper portion is comfortable if you like to rest your arm up there. I like this ledge over here, very soft touch. Got this sen wood right here, the metal trim piece that blends into the door handle. The design from Mazda is very good in most regards. Soft suede material, padded armrest, although the armrest is really small and I really don't get to benefit from that. These are all one-touch automatic windows, and then a good-sized bottle holder and storage area. I'll show you this in a little bit, but if you want to access your surround view camera, your 360 camera, you just push this button right here. This will be a little bit more brief than it normally is because I've been in the Mazda 6 before, but you've got this leather wrapped steering wheel. It's comfortable to hold on to, little sport grips. This section on the side is heated as well on both sides. I'd like to see Mazda maybe update the buttons and just kind of the layout and controls on the steering wheel, but it still works well for your radio and your cruise control and your information screen. Right in front, you get a couple physical gauges on the left and the right, and that middle one is actually a 7-inch digital display. So first of all, you got instantaneous fuel economy on the left. You've got your actual fuel range on the right. And then you can cycle. It looks like a physical gauge in the middle, but it's actually digital. You can cycle through trip computer. You can look at your lane keeping system, service. It's not quite as in-depth as some vehicles, but it gives you the necessary information. And when you're actually driving, let's say that we're going 40 miles an hour, the rest of the numbers will not be as brightly illuminated. It'll be about between 20 miles an hour and 60 miles an hour. So it helps keep your focus on the speed. Right in front of us, you get a head-up display, and I love Mazda's head-up display. It'll show you your blind spots, it'll show you your lanes, you can move it, you can get rid of it, whatever you want. It works fantastic if you want it. And then as we move across right here next to your start button above the AC controls, you've got Mazda's 8-inch screen, definitely tablet style. And I like Mazda's Connect system. So you use a turn dial to scroll through all of this stuff. There's a lot of different settings you can customize. If you want to go to Apple CarPlay, you just move the dial up and then you can hit center. And then you've got Apple CarPlay. You can use it just like normal with your touch dial. And I think it works just great. I think it's perfectly fine. It is a little bit slow, but you've got navigation on here. And the way that you do all that is with this. Shortcuts to navigation, home, music, back button. The dial feels nice and solid, your favorites, and the volume knob over here. Look at this material right here. This is not something that you see in this design and all the material quality in even the newest cars that you see today. So Mazda, even though this isn't brand new for this year, it still stands out. Then you have dual zone climate control down here. All this is simple and easy to use, very clean looking. Heated steering wheel, ventilated seat, and heated seat buttons. Got the heated seat and ventilated seats on the other side. I like the dual zone layout right here, very simple and easy to use. Now the center console, I mentioned it's kind of wide, but you do have padding right here next to your legs. You've got a storage bin right there. There's actually not wireless charging in here. That is something that would be nice to see. Got this nice feeling shifter. Go ahead and put it in reverse. And there is our backup camera. This is one of the downfalls. The clarity is not very good. You don't have the dynamic lines in your straight backup camera, but when you go to the surround view camera view, you can see the dynamic lines. You can see a top-down view. So it works. It shows you what you need to. It's just not crystal clear. Sport mode button is right next to the shifter. Electronic parking brake and brake hold, so it'll automatically hold the brake for you in certain situations if you want. And then one of my small complaints is, well, the bottle holders work great. I like the bottle holders. If you don't have bottles or if you have them in the door, you can pull that down for a nice clean slate look. But I always have a bottle here. I don't like to put it in the door, and it's a little bit annoying, especially in this front one, to operate these controls. Just a very small complaint. And if I do have a passenger with their arm here, resting here, it just kind of gets in the way, fighting with their arm. Very small complaint, rarely a problem. So one thing is that this armrest back here is really small. This is really nice and padded. This whole thing is really nice and padded. So you can kind of rest your elbow on there if you want to, but I wish that this would be able to move forward a little more. Got a small bin right there. You got a 12-volt power outlet, SD card slot, USB ports, and auxiliary port. The attention to detail is great. You even have a metal door handle right there and a softly lined glove box. So Mazda's definitely premium. Got an automatic dimming rearview mirror with garage controls. You have a sunglass holder up above. We have a standard size moonroof overhead, no panoramic roof. And then this light right here is actually a little bit of ambient light that shines down into the center console. It looks nice. It does a good job. And we have LED lighting on each side. So we take a look at visibility. First of all, you get a dark headliner, which looks nice. A-pillar is small. Looking out the back, window starts to shrink down a little bit there. And then, I mean, it's about average for a sedan. Not the best, but better than most crossovers. Now, as we hop into the back seat, right away on the door, you're gonna get the same nice material, soft suede material on there, and a decent bottle holder. You still get the really nice looking parchment seats. They are comfortable. We'll go ahead and hop in just a second. Now I have my car seat base in here. I am not able to sit with it behind me and be able to sit where I want to. So I've been actually having it in the middle. I moved it over there just to show you something in a second. The Mazda 6 is not a class leader in terms of legroom, but it is still good. I've got plenty of space right here. There are also AC vents right there that have done a nice job. And one thing that I mentioned about the Mazda 3 is that the AC for the Mazda 3 was just not doing very well for my backseat passengers, but I have not had an issue whatsoever in the Mazda 6. There's still LED lighting up above, and in the middle you get a fold-down armrest, couple of bottle holders. You get heated seats on here, 3-tier heated seats on both sides, soft armrest. Fold this up out of the way, and then you get 2 more USB ports and a little soft area. If you only have 2 people back here, which most of you will, this is really cool. I'm not a fan of how you have to lift this up in order to get the USB ports, but this is still a nice little area. My one complaint is that I have this car seat in the middle all the time, so my wife can sit on one side or the other, and this armrest is inaccessible, so the heat controls and the USB ports are inaccessible just in that scenario. But aside from that, I like this back seat. Comfortable, looks good, and I can sit here without my head pushing into the ceiling, although my hair does touch. All right, y'all, we are just getting going in this 2020 Mazda 6. Now, in this test drive, I'm going to tell you what it's like to daily drive the Mazda 6, let you know what the ride comfort's like, acceleration, all of that. Pretty much all the goodness and the badness about driving the Mazda 6. So first of all, with our turbo, with just a little bit of throttle, it gets you up to speed real quick. And it's a very smooth powertrain between this turbocharged engine and this 6-speed transmission. Now, I know in the comments a lot of you are probably gonna complain that Mazda is still using a 6-speed transmission, but honestly, aside from, you know, possibly the fuel economy, it's a very smooth powertrain, and the 6-speed fits this car so well. And aside from that, it's a proven transmission as well. Mazda's been using this 6-speed. And on this first stretch of road, it has a lot of broken pavement. There's kind of some bumps. And overall, the car, the ride quality of the Mazda 6 is not its strongest point, but it's certainly not bad either. It's not the worst thing about it. It's average. I would say it's a little tiny bit on the stiff side compared to some other sedans, but honestly, it is comfortable. I've had no troubles driving this. I've put, up to this point, about 130 something miles on here, and the last time I drove the Mazda 6, I put more miles than that, and I've been comfortable through that time. Obviously, not very many miles, but I've been comfortable. The ride quality is fine. There are a few moments when you hit some big harsh bumps and you do get some harshness into this cabin, but it's really not bad. Now right now, I am sitting lower. I have the camera pretty low, and you might be able to see the head-up display, but it does show you your stop sign, it shows you the speed limit, and it even shows you that in your information display below here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get on it again, a little more, pedal down. And it is just quick, it's smooth, it's quick, it's got a nice sound, especially for a 4-cylinder turbo. And the biggest plus, which I'll talk about a little bit more soon going around some corners, but the biggest plus is just the handling. The way that the Mazda 6 drives and feels overall, it's more engaging than pretty much everything else in this class. And what I mean by that is it's just more fun to drive. You just feel like you have more control of the car, and it just lets you enjoy the drive. Now, one thing about the 6 is that the brakes, kind of like Mazda CX-5 as well, is the brakes maybe to a new person will feel a little bit soft, but they have a nice feel to them. They're easy to modulate and get used to. Now I'm going to put it in sport mode with the little button down here. Push it forward, get up to speed a little bit, and then it's going to hold the RPMs, pedal down, and when you get into this turbo, you might expect this car to be an absolute burner with the 2.5 liter turbo, bigger than the Honda Accord 2 liter turbo, way more torque than the Camry V6, but it's really not a burner. It is definitely a quick and fun car to drive, but it's honestly not meant to be a sports car. It has more of a luxury feel than anything, in my opinion. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it handles well, it's responsive. Pedal down, and you get the turbo, the boost right away. And one thing about Mazda's handling is that they use a technology called G-vectoring. It's actually a software system. Changes the torque in the engine to basically help corner the car, help the car shift weight going into corners. And whether or not you believe it or feel it, it just handles very well. Now I'm going to put it out of sport mode, pull the tab back. This does have Mazda's radar cruise control and the lane keeping system. Both of them have worked just fine for me. It's not the most perfect, like, keep you centered in your lane type of system, but overall it does its job. You can turn it off if you want. You can turn the regular cruise control on instead of the adaptive cruise, so no complaints with that. Like I said, I think probably the worst thing about this car, which still is not bad, is maybe a little bit stiffer ride than some people might expect in a sedan, but it's still comfortable. It's not bad at all, and you probably can get a little bit of a softer ride with a lower trim level, where you get smaller wheels and you get a little bit more rubber on your tires. One thing that Mazda has always done good with recently, like the new CX-5, the CX-9, the 6, and even the newest version of the Mazda 3, is make these cars quieter. And this is a quiet car. We have laminated glass over here on these passenger windows. When you're on the highway, you get just a faint amount of wind noise. More so, honestly, that seems to come a little bit from the back of the car. Very faint, not too much up here. And right now, as you can hear, we're on a rougher textured road. This is where you get a little bit more of the road noise that comes in. If the road surface is pretty nice, then you got a quiet ride. And it's still not a bad ride. It's not loud at all on this surface, but there is a little bit more road noise. It's not quite as quiet as the CX-5 or the CX-9. So in terms of driving the Mazda 6, quick comparison to some of the other sedans is that this is more engaging, more fun to drive than most, and it just handles well. ergonomics wise in here. I like it for the most part. I'm not a huge fan of the way the center console is laid out in terms of using the controls, but that's very minor. I wish the armrests were a little bit bigger in a little bit better spot, but otherwise the actual driving dynamics, the information in front of you here, being able to use the screen without having to touch it, I like. Head-up display. Mazda's done a very good job with this Mazda 6, especially considering the fact that this hasn't even been updated in a while, and it's very similar to older models. So let's go ahead and wrap things up on this Mazda 6. Now to wrap things up on this 2020 Mazda 6, like my question at the beginning, can it still compete with the new arrivals in the class? I personally haven't been able to be in all of those, but this Mazda 6 Signature still drives just as good as any of them. It handles just as good as any of them. It's very quiet on the inside. You have a lot of nice features and nice materials. And if you read the YouTube comments on any Mazda video, you're gonna see everybody saying that they think it's the best looking car. So truthfully, even though the newest models maybe get better efficiency, maybe have some cooler gadgets, or maybe even a little better ergonomics, the Mazda 6 is still a very solid option, and even if you go back a couple years in trim level, you're still going to get a great car. I can't wait to see the redesign of this Mazda 6 and everything they give you, but this Signature trim still gives you a ton of features, some things that you might not even expect. But thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure to watch some of these other videos below, subscribe for weekly reviews, and have a great rest of your day.